Tonight I'm going to do an informative speech on the topic of autism. The reason I chose autism is because it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. My younger brother Scotty was diagnosed with autism. I hope that with this you'll be able to better understand someone who has autism and to not treat them differently, just to know that they are just like you and I. Autism is defined as a developmental disability significantly affecting verbal and nonverbal communication. It's usually evident before the age of 3. I know with my younger brother he was diagnosed about after the age of 1 because it was very obvious up front for him. It's considered an umbrella disorder because it encompasses more than just one thing. Asperger's, Rett syndrome, just to name a few. The causes of autism are relatively unknown. Over the last 5 years, scientists have identified a number of rare genes or mutations associated with autism. In most cases of autism, however, appear to be caused by a combination of the genes and a combination of early brain development. Some of the symptoms for autism are pretty clear. Social challenges being one of the main ones. They're very socially awkward. Situations where they should be happy, like at a birthday party, they're not. They don't like being sung to. I know my little brother hated when we sang him happy birthday for the first few years. Taking him to get a haircut was the absolute worst. He would scream on the top of his lungs like you've never heard before. Another one is communication difficulties. Not being able to develop at the same rate as other children and communicate. Learning to walk, learning to talk, learning to use the restroom. These things that come normal for other people, much harder for children with autism. And then repetitive behaviors is probably the most blatant behavior. Rocking back and forth, flapping their hands, rocking themselves to sleep. They look to themselves for comfort, not other people, which is something that I personally have a hard time understanding. Autism can affect anybody. It cuts across all lines of race, class, and ethnicity. What they do know is that diagnosis has become more common. I have a chart here that shows in the 1970s, 1 in 10,000 children were diagnosed. It is now 1 in 88 children. That is a huge leap. The fact that it encompasses so much is why it's become such a large number of children being diagnosed. We know so much more about it now than we did in the past. In this chart, you'll see a breakdown of the states. From 2009 to 2010, 8-year-olds being diagnosed with autism. Minnesota is the highest rated state. Iowa is the least. Texas, where we currently are, ranks about in the middle. They are sitting at 1 out of 142 children being diagnosed, which is a staggering number amount, especially with how big Texas is. Autism doesn't just affect the one person in the family. Often, if one child is diagnosed, another child will be diagnosed with autism as well, or at the very least show symptoms of autism. Chances are you know someone with autism, or know somebody that knows somebody. Everybody does. It's just so common. And that is why I wanted to do a speech on autism. It's not something that you don't notice. I know Target will hire children or teenagers and people with autism. Home Depot, I know will as well. And that's my hope, is that people will understand that they're not stupid. They're usually very, very smart people. And they can do normal activities. They just do them a little bit differently than you and I. I hope it's giving you a better understanding of not just children, but of adults with autism. It's a much easier task for us to understand when it's just a child. But when it's an adult, we tend to write people off. And it's my hope that you now understand why someone is a little bit different than they were